What? Terry Pratchett and Douglas Adams had a love child while playing World of Warcraft? His name's Zachery Pike and he wrote a book? Hello and welcome to Classically Trained Nerds Book Review. Today we're going to be reviewing a fantastic book with comedy, drama, a solid storyline, and great action. This book is called Orconomics, a satire in Book 1 of the Dark Prophecy saga. It's written by Zachery Pike and narrated by Doug Tisdale Jr. So the best way to describe Orconomics is to dive right into the world-building aspects of this book. Now, it takes place in a world called Arth, which is Earth with less vowels. And in this world, these are your standard issue Tolkien-esque fantasy with your elves, dwarves, goblins, humans, halflings, and every other mythical creature you'd expect in a high fantasy book. But the uniqueness thing is that Zachery Pike created this world where it's run by quest-giving conglomerates that both satires our real world and the world of MMOs and the world of tabletop gaming. So let me give you a rundown of the book. So in Orconomics, there are two factions, heroes and shadowkin. Heroes are your elves, your humans, your dwarves, kind of anything you would normally associate as a protagonist of a novel. Your shadowkin are the opposite, of the orcs, the goblins, and the creatures and the evildoers. Now in the history of Orconomics, heroes used to go on raid parties and basically loot and pillage the shadowkin villages and dungeons and kill them all, and supposedly making the world a better place in the process. So after years of hero raiding shadowkin, a bunch of heroes eventually got together and created hero corporations. And these corporations would fund other raiding parties to go and kill all the shadowkin, steal their loot. In return, they would get a portion of the loot that they discovered. Now this grew bigger and bigger and bigger until the entire economy of Orconomics is driven on these hero quested dungeon raids. Now heroes also gain points when they kill shadowkin, which would give them a higher rank, which would give them larger portions of loot and share and other, cheaper everything. So basically like a leveling system in a video game. So the dialogue and action in this book are perfectly done. Nothing is awkward, nothing is unexpected. All of the characters act the way you would think they would act in those certain situations. Your grumpy dwarf sounds like a grumpy dwarf and does grumpy dwarf things. Your closet drug addict elven ranger does the things that a closet drug addict would do. Nothing is unexpected. Everything's perfectly done and very entertaining. Even though you know you're reading a satire and you know you're reading a high fantasy, everything just seems to play out the way you would want it to. So the Deus Ex Machina is really done well in this book. Nothing is unexpected and nothing is awkward. Everything flows and everything is explained early enough in the book that it isn't a surprise. So their magic system is kind of like a yin-yang style, and there is a third style that is out there that is dark and mysterious and old, which I hope does get explained further in the second book. It's mysterious, but nothing is overwhelming. It's very easy to read, and you don't have to get a flow chart to understand their political system or their magic system or anything like that. Very, very easily and nicely done. So some key factors that I look at when judging an audiobook. First, I look at how well the narrator distinguishes between characters and is it consistent through the whole book. I look at how well they narrate gender opposites of their own. And I also look at how well they narrate the in-between text, the action and the effects it has on dialogue, and kind of everything in between of what's being said between characters. So with the first bullet point, let's talk about the different character voices. Tisdale does a really good job at voicing a lot of the shadowkin, which are like the goblins and the orcs of the book, and he has a very unique way of enunciating some of their dialogue, especially when it comes to them talking in their own language. He also does a really good job at the main character, which is a grumpy dwarf. His name's Gorham, and he has more of a Scottish accent, and I think it was played very well, and it was a really good addition to this book. So the only real issue I have with Tisdale's performance is with some of the accents of the book. Now, Pike describes some characters as being very foreign, and having a heavy accent. Tisdale gives him more of a southern drawl, which I don't agree with. Now, it's not a bad thing and it works and it's consistent, so that's good, but it's really not what I would have done and not really what I would have preferred. So Tisdale does a really good job at narrating female voices. Now, one of the hardest things a narrator can do is to voice the opposite sex, and there's no flies on it whatsoever. It was a great job. He definitely puts a little femininity into his deep voice, and when you close your eyes, you can't tell the difference. Now, that's a really good indication of a good narration, is you should be able to close your eyes, see the character in your mind, hear the dialogue being said, and you shouldn't notice any discrepancies or have any difference in opinion on how that character should sound. It should sound perfect in your imagination as though it was happening. And Tisdale goes well above and beyond at a great job at this. Definitely one of the best parts of his performance. Okay, so here's where I think Tisdale fell off the shelf. In the book, there are a ton of battle scenes and fight scenes and a lot of commotion going on, and I don't think he narrates the dialogue as well as I would expect. Now, it is expected and described by the author that people would be choking or yelling or out of breath, and the dialogue doesn't really line up like that. He doesn't really narrate as though the character was, out of breath or, I can't, I'm choking or something like that. It's not in there. It sounds very unnatural. Now, it's not at all a deal breaker, but it's definitely something to keep in mind while you're listening to this book. So overall, I give this book an 8 out of 10. I give Doug Tisdale Jr.'s performance a 6 out of 10. And I would say that this book is a really solid, overall, awesome read. Definitely you want to get on the bandwagon here because this is book one of what is hoped to be a really long and nice running series. So here are some reasons why I think you should add this book as next to read. It's an amazing satire that makes fun of MMOs, our real world, and tabletop gaming. Great humanization of characters. Everyone is flawed and nobody's perfect, which makes it easy to read and more relatable. I believe it's going to be the next torchbearer for the absence of the Discworld series. The book has lots of laughs and good enough action to entertain most audiences. Thanks guys for watching Classically Trained Nerd's audiobook review of Orconomics. If you feel inclined to purchase this book, I will have the link for the Audible and the paperback version down below. If you've read the book or want to comment, please let me know. I would love to talk about this book. There's a ton that goes on that needs more discussion, and I would love to discuss it with you. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this review, and let me know in the comments below if you have any other books you'd like me to review in the future. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good morning, evening, or afternoon.